Since seizing power in a dramatic coup on September 30, 2022, Captain Ibrahim Traore has emerged as one of Africa's most defiant and charismatic young leaders. At just 34 years old, he became the world's youngest head of state, promising to liberate Burkina Faso from terrorism, foreign exploitation, and corruption. His leadership has been a roller coaster of bold decisions, military victories, and economic reforms, earning him both fierce loyalty and harsh criticism. But beyond the controversies, what has Traore actually achieved? From kicking out French troops to launching daring counterterrorism operations, this is the untold story of Traore's successes and why millions of Burkinabés see him as their nation's last hope. The rise of Burkina Faso's patriotic leader and his success stories. 1. The coup that shook the world. A new era for Burkina Faso.
Our country has long been in a very complicated system. Most of you who are young like me, we were born into this system. But that's not what can allow Burkina to thrive. Because in this situation, there are only two cases. Either we accept to fight, or we remain slaves forever.
The night of September 30, 2022, was one of chaos and hope. Gunfire echoed through Ouagadougou.
A coordinated attack in the heart of Ouagadougou.
As young soldiers, led by Traore, stormed key government buildings. Their message? Enough was enough. Ours, he took charge, suspending the constitution, dissolving the government, and declaring a new revolution.
1. The Constitution is suspended. 2. The Transitional Charter is dissolved. 3. The government is dissolved. 4. The Transitional Legislative Assembly is dissolved. 5. The land and air borders are closed from 30th of September 2022 at 0 hours until further notice. 6. A curfew is introduced from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. 7. All political activity is suspended. 8. All activities of civil society organisations are suspended. 9. The nation's active forces will be convened in the near future to adopt a new transitional charter and to designate a new civilian or military president.
You are undoubtedly aware that a few hours ago, your peaceful sleep in the city of Ouagadougou was unfortunately disturbed by the sound of weapons. We sincerely apologize for this. We do not wish for it. We have never wished for it, but such are the circumstances of life. Therefore, we extend our apologies to you and all the residents of Ouagadougou for the noise of weapons over these 2 days. This happened because certain things are not functioning well, which we have observed and will also explain to you here. We have a tendency to always blame the other Burkina. I believe that most of you here are older than I am. So what I'm going to tell you is that we really need to change the pace. We need to change the pace, we need to move quickly. All countries are in a state of urgency. So everyone at their level must be able to move faster and abandon unnecessary administrative burdens. I couldn't even specify this point, or that point where we need to be. Quick. It's all the points. In Burkina, everything is urgent. From security to defense to health, to social action, to infrastructure, everything is urgent. We will have to move quickly. While waiting to have specific points. Soon on, the different ministries, to examine them one by one. I will also ask you for a point that could help us in the urgency. Maybe the SG will compile that. I know that you use Land Cruiser pickups in your ministries, often underutilized. And there are often many in your hangars. Maybe they have nothing wrong, but perhaps just minor issues. Identify everything and give us the general report. We need it. Can we have this report by Tuesday at the latest? Because we will surely requisition them.
The previous military leader, Paul-Henri Damiba, had failed to stop jihadist attacks. France, Burkina Faso's former colonial ruler, still controlled key resources while Burkinabe soldiers died with outdated weapons. Traore, a battle-hardened captain who had fought jihadists on the front lines, promised radical change.
If you want to break with these imperialist forces, it's simple. We denounce the agreements. Everything starts from there. I think the example of Chad in any case is tangible. They started by denouncing the agreements. Otherwise, if we don't denounce the agreements, just saying that the bases leave, we haven't done anything. Because the problem lies in the colonial agreements, the defenses that have been signed since independence. The most dangerous is not the one you see in the bases. The most dangerous are the military advisors. Military advisors exist in all these countries. They existed in Burkina as well until the end of 2022, until we took responsibility. And who are these military advisors? They are the ones who are supposed to implement France's policy. Here, they must work to make our armies very weak so that France can always have the argument to exist here. Under their influence, they had succeeded. Our sentinels were therefore standing guard with sticks. That's what France wants from our armies. When we reach this stage, we have no choice but to want them to come and settle. But the Burkinabe army managed to get rid of the military advisors. Unfortunately, I think that in 2019, after Operation Otapono, where the French saw that the Burkinabe army still had the capacity to respond to terrorists, they called the chiefs of staff in France. They instructed him to reintegrate the military advisors throughout the structure. Well, they did not agree. But upon returning to the country, the politicians instructed him to accept the military advisors. And that's when the military advisors returned to the Burkinabe army in 2019. With all the consequences we know, the army was on the verge of disappearing in the years 2020-2021. And indeed, this is the time when many soldiers had to desert because there was no longer any hope. We were in the process of collapsing. That's a bit how they work at the General Staff headquarters. In all army headquarters, in the schools, they are the ones who are supposed to dictate the policy of our army. They are the ones who tell us when to recruit, how to recruit, and what to do with them. They are in the schools to tell us how to train them, and so on. As long as these military advisors are there, you are not independent. Your army will just have the appearance of an army that is there to perform parades, a circus. But when war comes, you will realize that a parade is one thing, but war is another thing. You have to break the agreements. It's the only way to have an independent army and build strength. But many people do not understand this, perhaps. And even with these agreements, France selects from our states officer cadets to go and train them. It's through these same agreements. But in reality, these officers who go to train, for the most part for France, they come to serve the French state in their country. They do not come to serve our countries. They train them so that they come to serve the interests of the French state. I can provide evidence of this. When we revolted, many officers in Burkina who were trained in France were immediately contacted to tell them that it was time to take action because you were trained for this, to serve France's interests. Most of these officers reported back to us. We took note and we continued to monitor. When an officer trained in France returns to his country and unfortunately dies, either by accident or on the battlefield. In France, there is a night of tribute to the fallen in the army, as there is everywhere else. During the night of tribute to the fallen, the name of the officer in question is mentioned, and it is said, died for France. They do not train him to serve his country, they train him to serve their state. And in many African states, there are plenty of such officers.